Hey everyone, Dr. Byrne here for another episode of Revive TV. The Australian Bureau of Statistics estimates that 80% of all Australians are going to suffer some form of back pain at some stage in their lives. That means that 4 in 5 of us are going to fall into that category. So it would make sense to have a better understanding of it and what you can do to avoid it or to get over it once you have. On today's episode, we're going to break the 5 leading back pain myths, bust them open, and teach you what really is the cause of back pain. So that was a pretty long introduction, but we're really going to break down what back pain really is and bust the top 5 myths around back pain. So one of the things that has come out in recent times is that sitting is like the new smoking, that it's really unhealthy for us to live a sedentary lifestyle. And while that is absolutely 100% true and we all need to potentially move more, another thing that has arisen out of that is that with back pain increasing, that sitting gets the blame. The fact that we live a sedentary lifestyle is to blame for an increase in lower back pain. And while there is certainly a contributor, I want to bust the first myth, and that myth being that sitting causes lower back pain. So if it's not sitting, what's really at play? And the thing that really at play is not the sitting, it's not the sitting position that is causing lower back pain. It's the fact that we are sedentary, the fact that we aren't moving. And when that occurs, all the little postural muscles that hold our spine erect and keep us stabilized when we're in motion start to deactivate. They become a little bit inhibited. They don't work as much because we're not asking them to. So it's not that your back pain is caused by sitting. It's the fact that this sedentary lifestyle, this lack of movement, it means that our muscles that are supporting us are just shutting off and not working because the body is super smart, and if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So it's not back pain, it's not the sitting that's the problem, it's the sedentary lifestyle and the shutting down of those muscles that is the major problem. So get moving. The second one, and this is one of my favorites and one I see in practice all the time, that no symptoms means no problems. And so what do I mean by that? A lot of the time, and very common in my practice, we'll have people who present with chronic low back pain. And they may have had it for a few months, maybe a year, maybe a little bit less. However, when quizzed about have they experienced it previously, there's usually a response like, yeah, I've had it in the past, 1 or 2 days, and then it goes away and I'm okay again. So the problem with that way of thinking is that if there is perceived to be no problem, no symptom, then there mustn't be any problem. And my experience is the opposite of that. My experience tells me that many times the problem has been there and your body has given you a little reminder, a little signal through pain saying, hey, listen, your back pain is not great. And you either rest or it just goes away, or you might get a little treatment of someone and the symptom goes away and we think that everything has been resolved. The problem is over time, if we don't actually ever correct the problem then fully, then it eventually comes back again, a little bit more severe the next time, and then a little bit more severe, and to a point where many times we see people that it is kind of that point where they can't do much. It's affecting their work, it's affecting their mindset, it's affecting their exercise, it's affecting daily activities, and potentially even their sleep. And so when we see them, it's already a long-term problem that's been there. So here's the thing. So no symptoms doesn't mean no problem. And the general thing with chronic back pain is 2 things that have caused it. One is trauma or unresolved trauma that's existed previously. And secondly, it's structural. Spinal and pelvic balance and mechanics have not been addressed, and for over a period of time, poor mechanics, poor spinal health, and eventually the body breaks down and sends out a signal that pain is there. So here's the thing. No symptom doesn't mean no problem. It's a real functional issue and should be addressed by a chiropractor, by physiotherapist, osteopath, massage therapist, other health practitioners who specialise in spinal health. The third one is that degeneration of the spine is the major cause of back pain. Now, if I go through all the x-rays that I've taken of people who have had back pain, degeneration or real degeneration isn't always the cause. There is certainly spinal distortion, where things aren't as aligned as they could be. But the actual degeneration, the wearing down, the closing of, say, a little gap where our nerves and things pass through to communicate to our lower back muscles, that's not as common as usually that the muscles have stiffened up, that the mechanics have started to alter, but the actual process of actually having degeneration is usually very, very late and the last thing to occur. So if you do have degeneration of your spine, that means there's been an underlying problem for a serious amount of time, and it would be worthwhile, be prudent to get someone who is a spinal healthcare expert to take a look at that to prevent it from getting worse. And if you do have back pain, and you think it might be degeneration, but it's shown not to be, it would still be prudent to make sure that we have really, really good spinal mechanics, just like I mentioned in the third point about there being no symptoms, meaning there's no problem. The next one, and I still see it even though I know better and I hear less people talking about it, is that rest is best. For many years it was, if you've got a back pain, a pain of any sort, rest, take some drugs to kind of ease the symptoms, sit back and let the body recover. The best thing is active rest. It's where we're moving and starting to use our muscles again. So many times with the chronic back pain, like I've explained earlier, is it's this kind of lack of the postural muscles working. So doing less and not moving isn't going to start to activate those things. So our recommendation is not to move less or to rest. It's adequate rest or active rest, meaning we want you to move as much as you possibly can without exacerbating the symptoms. And while you're in that active rest, getting someone to assess you for the spinal mechanics, make sure they're moving properly, plus adding in some functional movements without pain are going to be the best course of action to overcoming your back pain. And last but not least, one of my favorites, and I hear it all the time, once you've had back pain, you're always going to have back pain. Especially, people in jobs where they're physical, like tradespeople coming in, I've got this bad back, I've had it for 10 years, had it for 20 years, I've always had it, I'm always going to have it, it's just something I have to put up with. Here's what I want anyone who has been suffering back pain for a long time to hear. You may have degenerative changes occur, and we might see that on an x-ray. And that may limit your ability to repair as well as you could do. However, my experience tells me that we don't have to live with back pain, that our bodies have a great ability to heal. Oftentimes I'll hear, I went and saw that chiropractor or that massage therapist or the physio and they gave me a few treatments. It felt better at the time, but it kind of came back and it just comes back all the time. Care doesn't seem to work. My back is just going to be bad forever. In my experience, it's not usually that the care hasn't been good. For example, if it's helped it, then they're certainly on the right path. My experience is usually we have a lack of preventative or proactive care. So if you've had back pain in the past and you want to prevent it from coming back or get over it fully, you need to be consciously active in doing that. Just like anything that you would want to practice to get better at, if you want to get better at playing golf, you would practice your golf swing regularly. If you want to get better at tennis, you'd do that. If you want to practice getting piano, you'd practice away at it. The same thing with back pain. If you've had back pain for a long period of time and you want to get it better, you need to do the things that will allow it to be the best version of itself. So in my mind, there's a few things. One, we need to be moving more. We need to do more functional movement, whether that's through doing a class like a CrossFit class or an F45 class, whether that's doing just general weights in the gym, whether it's doing body weights, where we're actively engaging our body, getting up from we're sitting down, like getting up and moving every 30 minutes to engage our muscles so that we are functionally moving. And the second one, which I've mentioned a few times already, is to get someone to assess you for the spinal mechanics to make sure things are moving properly in motion. If they're not, it's going to compromise your ability to heal completely, or at least start to improve to get it back to where it was. The great thing about our bodies is it's always trying to heal. It's always trying to do the best job for you that it can. So it just needs less interference. It needs more proactivity. So that means not only just doing the exercises when you're feeling bad and rehabbing it, it's when we have rehabbed it that we're being proactive in our healthcare, in the maintenance of our spine as well. So they're the myths that we've just busted. The first one being sitting is the cause of back pain. The second, that no symptom means no problem. Third is that degeneration is the cause of back pain. 4, that rest is best. And 5, once a bad back, always a bad back. So if that's you, if you're suffering and you're not sure what to do, my recommendation would be to book in to see someone to get your spinal mechanics. If you want to do that with us, we'd be more than happy to see you. There's a little link actually we're going to put in today where you can book a free consult where you can just talk over the phone or come in and have a brief chat about your situation, and we see whether you've got a chiropractic case or with someone else who might be able to help you, and we'll certainly put you in the right direction. The other thing is that we run Inspired Movement class, and this Tuesday, which will talk about all the things that you require in terms of movement to help your spine, to help your bodies be as healthy as possible. Thanks for joining me on this episode. Back pain is a real issue. If you know someone or you have it yourself, take heed and do something about it, or share this post with someone who's had it, and maybe we can, or someone else can help them on their journey.